think that this has such strong moral and religious connotations, this whole subject, that if you want it to be discussed with students and parents, they both should hear this presentation, not have a student say, well, they said. You don't really know exactly what the student said. I think it's a subject that does need to be discussed, but parents and students should hear the same thing.
I have a horrible image of students going into a room and the doors being closed. I'm concerned.
Has anybody seen this presentation?
Right.
I have to ask the committee members if they've talked about it.
No,
with
seen
this-
it, not talking about it.
Well, you're talking about 4 or 5 people sitting in
Okay.
front of a class, you know,
Right.
having a discussion, so I don't think there's much to be seen. I don't believe
Go
that.
to another school that's had the group there, see what the presentation.
Let me put it back to Francis. Have you participated with this group?
I have not seen these 4 students. I have seen other panels like this. And there's no promotion of homosexuality.
Yes, but I agree that is dangerous territory to go and not be able to know exactly as a school board or as a teacher what is being fed to our children. That's dangerous.
Why not just consider making it student and parent?
Read in the above statement of S.A.G.E Center, they clearly point to one of the focal points, the focal point of this group, that the center maintains a proactive stance in the promotion of an inclusive, supportive, and affirming climate for women and lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and a proactive stance in this position. So, yeah, the mission statement, I agree with you.
I think the key word in there is inclusivity.
But let me just say, because I mentioned that I was tormented in 7th and 8th grade, and for no other reason that I did not choose. I was a small student, I was a quiet student, I was voted most shy and quietest for the whole thing, which was, again, another embarrassing thing to receive as an award. But that's what it is. I didn't choose to be bullied and tormented, so I understand what a homosexual student feels. And there are many students, homosexual students do get bullied. I'm not denying that, but there are thousands and thousands of students for many, many other reasons, obesity, the way they look, they get their glasses, they dress funny. On any given day in this country, thousands of students purposely stay home from school, whether they're gay, obese, whatever, because they're tormented by bullies at school for any reason. So I feel for the homosexual student, but I also feel for the obese student. And, if a student could get a scholarship to another school because they were tormented, I've read stories online where parents have done just that. They've moved their student because they've been tormented because of obesity and how they look. They've moved them to other schools. And to find the same thing can happen in other schools. So the issue is about all of us as Americans. And parents, student involvement, and everything that everybody said here is correct. I mean, let's be engaged as parents and let's address this issue. But right now, the issue at hand is the S.A.G.E Community Center, or the S.A.G.E group. And I still would ask this committee to take a broader look at the issues that we've all discussed. And it's a healthy discussion. It's a very healthy discussion to have as a community. But to find out about this 2 weeks before a school board meeting, when it was known well in advance and not made public until, 3 weeks before the actual event. Springing this on parents is not fair to the community when it was known and planned.
With all due respect, I don't think everybody's afraid of homosexuality. I think it's a matter of, as I said before, mechanics, that something that's controversial, and understand that it is controversial.
I think being afraid of homosexuality, I'm afraid of the workshop.
Okay. Back to my point, that it wasn't passed by the school board, but as Carla said and everybody said, bullying is, I remember when I was in school, it was one of those old school stories, right? The kid that came to school after he'd been out in the barn milking the cows and he smelled like cows. And they bullied the crap out of him until one day he stood up and beat the snot out of the kid that was bullied. And he could do it, and he could have done it the first day, but, you know, I mean, it was that kind of a situation. But parents could probably use this workshop as much as or more than the students. If you've got 3 or 4 students in school, then those 3 or 4 students should have some kind of workshop, and maybe a different venue, maybe this venue or whatever, but there should have been a lot more planning going into this thing. I think parents teach their kids tolerance, or don't teach their kids tolerance, as much as, with all due respect, the teachers do. It's part
I
of...
think that we're talking about 2 subjects here. One is the homosexual panel subject, but the other is parents' rights. And what I'm hearing from the teachers who have spoken is a little bit of contemptuousness for the parents' rights. And I think that maybe this is something that the school board and the school needs to address, because the parents do have a right to be there,
Absolutely.
and
We
they
can't-
don't seem to understand that.